How we doing, everybody? And happy Friday. We are back. Had a special interview yesterday with CSFL star Trayton Thomas, but we are back here talking Wisconsin sports today. I want to welcome each and every one of you to Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trade. I'm your host, Trade. Today we are starting a new segment, a special new segment called Eyes on the Inside. We're going to have a little bit of more in-depth look at some of the sports going on over the weekend here. And joining me is Cole Zimbauer out of Minnesota. He's from Minnesota. I know what you're thinking. We got to hate this guy. Can't really like him. No, it's not the case. It's not the case. We're okay with. He's from Wisconsin. He likes the Packers. He likes the Badgers. He likes the Brewers. So we're okay with him. So how are we doing today, Cole?
I'm doing great, Trajan. I did like how you corrected yourself there. I'm not from Minnesota. I just currently reside in Minnesota.
Let them know that you're over there. You're behind enemy lines right now. We just had to make sure that people knew you were safe.
I get it. You want people to hate me off the bat. No, I understand.
Well, you know me. It's okay. It's okay. Back on it, though. We are talking Badgers today. Badgers got a big game this weekend, a big game for the West in the Big Ten here, coming up here against Iowa. We're going to be talking about that. Also talking about the rest of the college football slate. Looking at the top 25, seeing who's got the matchups this weekend, covering who we like in those games. Also looking at the NFL slate. Packers off this weekend, have a bye. Thank the Lord. They need it more than anybody right now to get something straightened out. But Packers got the bye, and we're going to be looking at the MLB playoffs because, well, to say that they're really unexpected would be an understatement right now. It's blowing minds. That's what's going on right now. We are not seeing what we expected whatsoever here in the playoffs. But to start it out, we are jumping into the Badgers because that is why we're here. That's why you're listening. You want to hear about the Badgers right now. And they have the Iowa Hawkeyes coming to Camp Randall. It's not just the weather that they're going to have to worry about in this one. They're going to have to worry about that Iowa Hawkeye defense in this game. 3 o'clock kick on Fox. It looks like the weather isn't going to be favorable for this game. They're talking it's going to be rain. It rained yesterday here in the great state of Wisconsin. Raining today. And then talks are there's going to be rain in the forecast for tomorrow too. So this could be a sloppy game, to say the least, there in Madison. Looking at this one, the Badgers are favored. 66% they got them sitting at against Iowa here in this one, according to ESPN. I think it's a little bit closer than that one. I think Iowa's defense is what's going to keep them in this. To be able to control Wisconsin's run game. And that's where Iowa really has succeeded this season so far. I just wanted to take a look at the defensive rankings in the Big Ten right now. Iowa's ranked number 5 in all the Big Ten in defense so far, only giving up about 16.3 points per game. Badgers sitting down there with 18.4. Just look at the ridiculous Michigan and Penn State defenses, 6.7 and 9.6 respectively. Holy crap. But then you look at the flip side of that, Wisconsin's offense is actually towards the top of the Big Ten right now, 31 points per game, and Iowa is sitting at 21.8. So what are you seeing leading into this matchup here that's kind of enticing for you?
Yeah, I don't know if you just mentioned this, but yeah, ESPN, not that this is a gambling podcast, but they got the bad.
We have to stay away from that.
It says they're favored by 9.5, which like you said, it's going to be a rainy, sloppy game. I don't see them winning by that much. I do think that they win this game, but I think it's going to be a classic Big Ten, Wisconsin versus Iowa. Not great weather. I'm looking at their, like you mentioned, defensive stats. Iowa's only given up 193 total yards a game. I mean, that's crazy to think that you're given under 200 yards a game. And And then Badgers, obviously, they're sitting at about 247 a game. So again, actually, I got to excuse myself here. That's just passing yards. Total yards, Iowa sitting at 324, and then Wisconsin sitting at 355. So not much of a difference there, but like you said before, not going to be great weather. I think that it's going to come down to, can Iowa's defense stop our run? I don't think it's going to be a great day to throw the ball. And like you said, they're ranked 5th. I see like a very slow, methodical game. I'm seeing like a 17-10, something like that. I mean, what do you think?
This game's going to be tight. And I know you were talking like past Iowa-Wisconsin games, but you look at that, and I would say Jim Leonhard had a huge piece in that one. You think of a game like this, it's a chess match. It's your chess match between, I don't know the chess rankings, I don't keep track of those, but it's the top 2 guys in the world right now. Not really in college football, but it's a chess match of who's going to make the first mistake. And it seemed like a lot of times in the past, Jim Leonhard didn't make mistakes in these kind of games. He would hold true, and his defense held true right along with him. It worries me with Tressel going into this game. Will he push the right buttons at the right time? I think with this Iowa team, the struggle, we have a familiar foe in this one. Transfer quarterback from Wisconsin, left when Paul Chryst did. Deacon Hill is going to be starting at quarterback for him. He has struggled, and struggle is an understatement. 21 for 56 so far. I think he was 6 for 21 against Purdue throwing the football. He has struggled mightily. We see why Graham Mertz was starting over top of him. It was going to take a miracle for Graham Mertz to start over most guys, and he was starting over Deacon Hill. So Deacon Hill's starting in this one. They won't have McNamara. Cade McNamara. Sure. We're not good at pronouncing names on this show. They're from Iowa. We don't care. We don't care what their name is. It's Cade, the guy in the white uniform in this game. That's what you got to remember.
Yeah.
But in this one, with Deacon Hill at the quarterback spot, I think that helps out Wisconsin's secondary. Wisconsin's secondary has struggled all season long, and having a guy like Deacon Hill, you're not going to have to worry about the accuracy of Deacon Hill. He has struggled, and we've seen it. He's young yet. He's still working into the Iowa Hawkeyes offense. That's going to help out a little bit, but I really do think missing Jim Leonhard in this game's really going to show it, because defensive schemes are going to be what this game is ran on.
Yeah, and I think with this quarterback, if you're Wisconsin defense, I think, you start the game by putting 8-9 guys in the box. I don't think you have to respect their passing game, because they've proven that they have none so far. And that's why I'm thinking that they probably are not going to score more than 10, 13 points. But I also see the style of play as, I think he's going to be more of a game manager, where they're not going to take too many chances, and this is going to be a field position game, that if they get near midfield and if they get a 4th down, I don't think they're going to push their buttons. I think they're going to punt it away. I think they're going to make it a field position game, especially with it being bad weather. But I also don't see Wisconsin's offense putting up more than 20. And that's why I think it's like a 17-10, something like that.
The inaccuracy of Tanner Mordecai, this game here, if it's raining, is going to rely on, we're going to have to give Paul Chryst a phone call and say, hey, Paul, can you open up the playbook for us one more time? Because we're going to have to go back to the Power I offense here at UW-Madison for one more go-around. Like you were saying with Iowa, they're not going to beat you with their receivers. You look at their receivers respectively. Seth Anderson, he's their leading guy in yards right now out of the wide receiver core with 79 yards on the season, 5 catches. Their tight ends do most of the dirty work for them. They're the main pass targets for them. They're short, methodical. They're a power offense. You look at their tight ends for them, Eric All, he's got 19 receptions of the year for 280 yards. And Luke Lachey, tight end, he's got 10 catches for 131. They're going to utilize the tight ends, and that's where the Wisconsin's front, the linebackers, are really going to have to keep an eye on those guys up the middle of the field there in some play action. some of those kind of plays there where they're going to try to catch the Badgers off guard. Like you said, loading up the box. I agree. You got to rush Deacon Hill in this one. You have to load the box up. But I think, you watch those past games with Jim Leonhard, he was so good at hiding the blitz. He would fake the blitz here. I don't see that with Tressel yet. I haven't seen it. He hasn't been as good at hiding it. The corner blitz, anything like that. We used to send safeties. You didn't know Dakota Dixon was coming on a safety blitz until he hit the quarterback there, and you were like, where did he come from? I thought he was back in pass coverage. That's how good Jim Leonhard was at disguising these blitzes. I haven't seen that from Tressel yet. And I think this game, we're going to have to see stuff like that because they're going to have opportunities through the play action game with the tight ends. You look at, they're a run first offense. They want to run the ball, but they're going to dump it off to their tight ends when they need it. They're not going for big plays. You look at their averages on their yards so far this season. Like I said, Eric All, his average is 14.7 yards a catch. That's where he's sitting average-wise right now. His longs for 34. Their longest pass reception of the year is at 36 yards. That was it.
Wow.
That was the max yards that they got on a catch. So, that's what I mean is that this team, they aren't looking to blow you up with a deep ball. So the secondary for Wisconsin, I think Iowa might try to exploit them because they know that's a weak point, but it's also a weak point of Iowa. So that's where guys like Holman, he had that pick six. He might get more opportunities in this game with Iowa trying to exploit what Wisconsin's weakness is. They have that weakness too, but it's their offense cannot throw the ball around in this one. But loading up the box, that is a great idea because you look at the running backs for Iowa right now. Le'Shawn Williams and Caleb Johnson both sitting over 200 yards on the season here. 50 carries apiece. Caleb Johnson's actually got 51. But they're going to utilize a lot of backs, actually. They have 4 backs who are over 20 carries so far this season with a decent amount of yardage for it. And so they're going to disguise in packages, and they're going to make you work. But this game, with the weather impending, it sounds like it's going to rain. Wisconsin, you never know. It might start to snow. But in this one, that's where it's going to be reliant on Wisconsin's front seven being able to control the line of scrimmage here against Iowa.
And yeah, I guess just to finish this up a little bit, as far as yards on offense, on the year total yards, we're looking at Wisconsin about 413, and then Iowa is sitting at 249, so 250 a game. And they're pretty much splitting that 50-50 between
tight ends and running backs.
Yeah, pretty much. And
that's about it.
That's crazy. Because as the college football is changing, look at Wisconsin. I never thought in honestly my lifetime, because from when growing up, we've been a smash mouth. We're going to run the ball down your throat. We'll throw some play action in there, but for the most part, RBU, arguably, right?
Yep. Oh yeah.
And so it's crazy with Wisconsin changing into this new offense, getting a new coach. Iowa's still Iowa, no matter what. They're going to run the ball, they're going to play good defense, and they're going to have good special teams. And you look at the passing versus rushing yards a game, Iowa's sitting at 130 passing and 120 rushing, which, again, that's insane to me that you're only averaging 130. That is a bad game for an NFL quarterback, 130 yards. That is a terrible game.
Well, you look at the difference from rushing to passing with this Iowa team. They've had 187 carries on the season so far as a team, 67 receptions.
Oh my 67. God.
That's ridiculous. I thought, there's not complimentary football at all, and then there's this. This is we're going to run it at you. It's like watching Army-Navy. There's no passing. We're going to run it up you, and we're going to see if you can stop us. And that's what, like you said, that's what Iowa does. And they want to win games low scoring. And Wisconsin, you look at the offensive side, if this offensive line for Wisconsin doesn't play well and they can't control the line of scrimmage, they let Iowa put the pressure on Mordecai. They get in the backfield for Braylon Allen before Braylon Allen hits the line. If Braylon Allen hits the line at full speed, not many guys are going to stop right there. He's going to get 5. He's going to at least get 5 on. And that's where Wisconsin's offensive line, this is a big test. I would say this is a huge test because you're going to have Ohio State coming up in a couple weeks. And Iowa's defense, they aren't the caliber of what Ohio State is. But they're nothing to shake your hat at. This Iowa team has got a good defense. and they're going to give you everything they got every single play. So if you can control the line of scrimmage in this one, makes me feel a little bit better against Ohio State. I still don't feel great. I still don't feel fantastic, but a little less worrisome that it's going to be a complete waste of turning on the TV that night. So that's where I'm at with this one. Wisconsin's offensive line really needs to control that line of scrimmage. Keep Iowa out of the backfield, especially with the weather how it is. You need to let Braylon Allen get his footing back there before he hits that hole.
Why don't you tell the your conspiracy theory is about us playing Ohio State?
Oh, I tell you, this is the truth. This is the truth. The NCAA loves big matchups because you know what they can do? They can sell them. They can sell them like it's nothing. It's all about revenue. It's all about how many commercials can I put out about this game. Wisconsin plays Iowa. They want Wisconsin to win. Why? Because this game, I tell you what, one of these teams is going to jump into the top 25 next week. Either Iowa or Wisconsin. Whoever wins this game. They're going to move to 6-1. Wisconsin will move to 5-1, I believe, with the win. I think they are sitting at 4-1 right now because of the bye week last week.
Yep.
So they would jump to 5-1. They were already getting votes to get in the top 25. I know there's a lot of top 25 matchups, so somebody's going to drop out. Wisconsin will jump in. Then they have a date at Illinois. They're going to make sure Wisconsin wins at Illinois. Why? Because the next week they have Ohio State. I tell you what, I'm telling you right now, number 19 Wisconsin is going to roll into Camp Randall against number 3 Ohio State. That's just how it's going to play out. That's just how they want it. They want a ranked matchup at Camp Randall for a night game. They haven't posted. I don't think they've posted a time for it yet.
So
I really don't think they have.
Dark.
That's what I'm thinking because they haven't posted a time for it yet. It's still to be decided. So I'm telling you, night game. They're gonna have college game day at. I don't know what the other games are that week, but if it's a ranked matchup, college game day is gonna be in Madison. They're gonna have Kirk Herbstreit, Lee Corso. I'm gonna be down there to meet Lee Corso. I'm gonna make sure I'm down there. I'm gonna make sure I don't get picked to kick the field goal though. Those guys go out there and they kick that field goal. No way, because I would shake that puppy so hard. Oh, it'd be rough. Not on national television. I'll throw it through the goalpost. I'll throw it through there. But
Do that.
I ain't kicking it. But I'm telling you, NCAA loves ranked matchups. They're going to make sure that game versus Ohio State is a ranked matchup so they can have everything they have leading up to it. Because it's going to be nationally televised. They love to get Ohio State on national television. That's their chance right there. You don't want a game like that on the Big Ten Network. Not 11 o'clock kickoff, unless if, you're number 3 Texas playing number 12 Oklahoma in the biggest game of the day, and they put it at 11 o'clock in the morning. It's like, why is this not your night game? Why is this not the nightcap? So that, 6 o'clock I can turn my TV on to ABC and listen to Kirk Herbstreit call this game. Why is he calling it at 11 o'clock in the morning? That was just, sometimes it's just so stupid. It really is. It doesn't make sense. I understand the festivities that go along with it and everything like that, but that is a game that needs to be played at night, underneath the lights. That would just add so much more to that game.
Yeah, but I can't wait to wait the whole day just for us to lose like 38-10.
I know. Wait, you're gonna have us if we score 10 points. I have to say, I'm gonna live.
Late point, awesome. Garbage time
against the third stringer. I can't say much yet. I haven't seen them play Iowa. If they lose to Iowa, and my whole theory gets thrown out the window, that game against Ohio State, I might not even turn it on. I might just watch the Brewers Diamondbacks game 2 of the wild card series again. It's gonna be better than watching that.
Pick your poison.
So with that, we're gonna stay in the NCAA. Off the Badgers, we're gonna look at the top 25 matchups coming up here in, if I can ever get her to load in. Sometimes the Wi-Fi just kills me. Heading in this week 7 of the college football slate, we have Georgia, Vanderbilt. That's an 11 o'clock start. Michigan, Indiana. That's going to be 11 o'clock. Ohio State, Purdue. That's on Peacock. Peacock in the NCAA. Looking down the list here for some ranked matchups there, or for some ranked teams in the Big Ten, Penn State and Massachusetts. Penn State's got a rough one there against 1-6 Massachusetts there. Oregon and Washington, number 8 versus number 7. That's going to be a big matchup there in the Pac on ABC at 2:30. Of course, it's an afternoon game. Looking down my list here for some other notables. USC and Notre Dame, that's going to be a 6:30 kickoff. USC coming in at number 10, number 21 Notre Dame at 6:30 also. It's going to be Miami and North Carolina. Number 12 North Carolina pairing up with number 25 Miami. And that is about it for the ranked schedule, other than UCLA and Oregon State will kick off at 7. So they got a couple big games there at 6:30, a couple ranked matchups there. What are you looking forward to most? What game are you looking at and saying, this is the game I want to tune into and watch?
Yeah, you mentioned it in that little soliloquy you had there. I'm gonna sit down and watch Oregon and Washington. You got two quarterbacks that are very experienced in Bo Nix and Michael Penix. Michael Penix is currently, what'd you say, second favored for Heisman?
I think so, yeah. And he's sitting second in all of quarterbacks in the league or something like that. I'm pretty sure that Caleb Williams is actually like 8th on that list for total.
Who's won then?
I'd have to find the list.
Okay. Either way, look, Oregon's defense looks really good. Both of their offenses, are putting up almost 600 yards a game. And you're looking at, God, that Washington pass game is averaging 446 yards a game. That is just unheard of to me. Now, I did get to watch Michael Penix play for Indiana the last couple of years, and you could tell he was a good quarterback. He just did not have a great team around him. And even that, he got pretty good stats. But I think it's in Washington. I like Oregon. I think their defense is really good. I think I like Bo Nix over Michael Penix, even though Michael Penix has been doing better stat wise. But I see Washington as too much of a pass heavy team. I like Oregon's defense. It's 8 versus 7, so it's pretty much a pick'em game. But I like Oregon in the
Actually, okay, so if you look, it depends what stat you're looking at with your quarterback ranking. If you're looking at yards, Sanders actually leads all of college football in yards right now. Penix is second on that list. Caleb Williams is actually sitting at 9 in total yards right now. But if you're looking at touchdowns, Caleb Williams has got 22 compared to Daniels from LSU. He's sitting at 19. So there's your difference in there. Plus, Caleb Williams has actually only thrown 1 interception on the entire year so far.
Okay.
Sanders has also been sacked 30 times. So.
Well, what are they? It's got to be like 80% pass, 20% run, right?
Oh, yeah. They're a running gun offense. And plus, they've played some pretty good teams here to start it out. So. But yeah, I agree. That Oregon-Washington matchup is going to be huge. It's kind of weird to look at Michael Penix's stats that he hasn't gotten over 2,000 yards. He's sitting at 1,999 yards on these seasons. So 1 yard. 1 yard in that last game. Like, it's just weird stats. But yeah, that's going to be a huge matchup there. I'm looking at the nightcap with, well, not the nightcap. That's usually Pac-12. But USC and Notre Dame. I think that's going to be a big matchup. USC's defense has struggled, and I think Notre Dame might be able to exploit that. You looked at that game against Colorado for USC. They let Colorado come all the way back in that one. I'm not sure what the game plan was for Colorado late in that one because Sanders didn't seem like he was really pushing the button there to try and come back in that one. It's like he almost waved the white flag before the game was over. But Notre Dame, coming off a tough loss, going up against USC. Hartman's been playing some pretty good football so far this year. Estimine from Notre Dame, running back, 692 yards on the season, 7 touchdowns on 105 carries. He's been playing pretty good for Notre Dame. I think they're going to put a test on this USC defense in this one. Will Caleb Williams and his theatrics be enough to get past Notre Dame in this one. It's going to be a tough one. I think that is going to be a close game on 6:30 on Saturday. There, you can see it on NBC or Peacock. It's on both. It's on both. There.
Yeah, so far the couple games that I've watched of USC, their defense is kind of like that, you know, annoyed, frustrated, lazy airport security guy that's just like done with his shift and he's just letting everybody through, right? That's what USC's defense is right now. I guess
like for Winfrey, you get a touchdown. You get a touchdown. You get a touchdown. You got to stop giving. We're out of color.
I guess I don't know if I don't know if Lincoln Riley was just like, yeah, defense is optional here. We got this dude named Caleb Williams, so I mean, as long as you guys can keep it under 35, I think we'll win the game. Is kind of what it seems like has been going on right now. Because usually that's the Big 12 that's been defense optional, but
that's what you look over the years why the Pac-12, why the Big 12 can't hang when it comes to the college football playoff. They don't play defense.
Yeah,
and then you get a team like Georgia come to town. You get a team like Alabama, any team like that, and they're like, oh, this is going to be a rough one. We're going to play defense on you guys. You haven't seen an actual defense yet, and welcome to our offense, too. Because you look at Georgia versus TCU last year. TCU found out what a real defense and what a real offense was, and that wasn't even a game. That was the worst national championship I think I've ever watched. I mean, I've fallen asleep. North Carolina. Oh, shoot, who was it? National championship for college basketball. North Carolina Gonzaga. That was the only other boring national championship to me. I fell asleep during that one for college basketball. I couldn't even believe it. I'm a third-string North Carolina fan. Badgers, Texas, then North Carolina. And I fell asleep watching that national championship. That's how bored I was. I shut the game off when it was Georgia versus TCU. But that's my problem with, like you said, the Big 12. They haven't played defense in years. You look over at the Pac-12, defenses aren't really the strong suit out there. They aren't really what it's built on. Look at Lincoln Riley. He's building an offensive team out there, but the defense isn't coming along with them. You put them in a college football playoff right now against Georgia, Georgia's going to steamroll. I mean, that's going to be a tough game right there for USC. There's only so much Caleb Williams can do.
Yeah, and then you look at the Big Ten, and it's pretty much the exact. I mean, besides like the Ohio States and the Penn States of the world, the Big Ten is the exact opposite, right? We're building on our defense. Our defense is going to be our backbone of our team. We're going to be a defensive first team. You know, not saying that, you know, some of those teams can't put up points, but yeah, it's crazy how opposite it is. It's like, all right, we'll get our points when we can, but we're going to play really good complementary football. And we're going to play really good defense. And then you go ahead, you look at the Pac-12 and the Big 12, and it's like, we're going to put up 45 points a game, but we're lucky if we hold that team under 30. And then
it's a shootout.
And then lastly, you look at the SEC, and it's the best of both worlds. They can put up points, and they can play defense.
Yeah, we can't compete with the SEC yet.
Nobody can.
Oklahoma and Texas are in for a rude awakening when they first jump into the SEC there. I think it's going to be a real wake-up call to what real football is out there. I mean, you look at that, like you were talking, it's shootouts every single night. You look at that USC-Arizona game. Arizona isn't a highly touted college football team. And they took USC, number 10 USC, 3 overtimes. It took 3 overtimes for USC to win that game. Arizona actually led for most of the game. So that's exactly it. It's shootouts. It doesn't matter who you're playing. It's going to be a shootout. The Big Ten's a little bit different. You go on the road in the Big Ten, you struggle. It's hard to win on the road in the Big Ten. That's why I don't laugh at like Wisconsin beating Purdue. Purdue is not a great football team, but winning at Purdue, that's still tough. But these other conferences, it's like you go on the road and it's like we're going to be in a shootout no matter what. We really don't need a defensive coordinator because you're not really needed here. We're just going to be an offensive-based team. Like I said, Texas, Oklahoma, rude awakening when they jump into the SEC.
I'm on the opposite of that, actually. I think Texas and Oklahoma are going to be fine because it seems like whenever those two get into a big game, for the most part, they always keep it close, if not win those games. And within the last 10 years, maybe more Oklahoma, because Texas they've been on the rise and then they've fallen and they're rising up again. Oklahoma, I mean, even before Baker Mayfield, Sam Bradford was you've had very good quarterbacks go there pretty much every single year. Was that because of Lincoln Riley? Yeah, probably. And now he's moved to USC. But that being said, you think they're going to have a tough time? I think those two are going to acclimate just fine in that conference. I think, yes, the level of competition is going to be a little bit higher, but I don't think that's going to surprise them at all.
I think it's going to be an adjustment. I think it's really going to be a huge
for their defense. Yeah,
that they're going to have to go through because they're going to have to readjust to what's ahead of them. I don't think it's going to be easy sledding as they're having in the Big 12 right now.
Yeah, I agree.
Just because, I mean, if you put, like you said, those two, they seem to play up in big games. But, like, right now, you put those guys against, say, an Alabama team or a Georgia team. Maybe not so much Alabama right now. They're still trying to figure out the whole quarterback situation. But Georgia, even teams like LSU and Florida State, I mean, those are some high-paced, fast offenses who have really good defenses who back them up. And that's where I think Oklahoma, maybe even, I think Texas would have a better shot. I don't dislike Texas' defense. I think they skate by at times. You look at the end of that Oklahoma game, it's like their defense wasn't there. I mean, they walked down the field with, I think there's a minute and 30 seconds left in the ball game, and they walked down the field on Texas defense, and it was like they didn't care. We're just here. We're just hoping you throw the ball away. So that's my worry with those guys leaving the Big 12 is just having to adjust, having to change up maybe in their recruiting trail of how they recruit guys. Maybe we're going to go more defense now because our offense is okay. Maybe we're going to go defense.
I mean, you think about it too. Both teams have really good head coaches too, and Brent Venables and Steve Sarkisian. Like, they'll be in good hands because those are two very good head coaches. And honestly, when you look at a team, you're looking at obviously who are their best players, but a lot of times in picking who's going to win, you look at who's the head coach? How much experience does he have? Both of those coaches, I think, yes, it's going to be. I don't love maybe the term rude awakening, but it's going to be like sort of an early alarm clock, right? You're surprised by it, but you knew you had to get up at some point. But I think it's a change, but it's going to be from, it's going to be a very small change. I know people listening can't see my hands right now, but it's going to be from here to here, right? Like, it's going to be up level in competition. The only thing I see them not carrying to the SEC is I think their defense is going to be in for a rude awakening. I think they can put up points with anybody. I just I just don't think they can defend anybody. I see you stop talking, but I couldn't hear any of what you said. And I still can't.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
You didn't hear anything before that.
Did you just mute yourself?
I think the mic might have muted. I'm sorry about that, folks. What I was saying is that every single week in the SEC is a big game. Texas getting in there, they're going to face Oklahoma, or not, well, they're going to face Oklahoma, but they're going to face Georgia, Alabama. You're going to have them on both sides of that conference, plus having to face teams like LSU. I mean, you have Texas A&M in there. Ole Miss is always there. Missouri's on the rise now. Kentucky's in there. So you have some pretty good teams in the SEC. Every single week is a dogfight. And you don't see that in the Big 12. The Big 12's got the lesser teams on the bottom half. Especially now, you have teams like BYU in there and other teams like that joining into the Big 12, you're going to have to face competition on the weekly. That's the rude awakening Texas and Oklahoma are going to see. Is now you loaded up a conference, but you have to see what loading up a conference is really going to do.
Yep.
But with that, we're going to jump over into the NFL real quick. We're just going to cover the weekend games coming up here, see what we are thinking here in week 6 of the NFL season. We have, Thursday night's game last night, Kansas City won that one 19-8. Leading into the Sunday matchups, Baltimore and Tennessee. That's going to be overseas there in London. Washington and Atlanta. Minnesota and Chicago. That's going to be, to say a dogfight would be an understatement. That's going to be something to watch. Minnesota coming in there with 1 win. Cicago coming in there with 1 win. It's going to be a real bottom of the barrel scraper for a 12 o'clock game there. Seattle and Cincinnati is an interesting matchup. Joe Burrow has been playing a little bit better as of late. And Seattle, Geno Smith has that team in the right direction right now. That could be a good matchup. San Francisco, Cleveland. Cleveland's defense is good. They have been playing. They're an underestimated defense. And I see that being a better matchup than what people think looking on paper. Carolina and Miami. Miami going into that one. It's going to be a rough one for Carolina. The Colts and Jacksonville. That could be a good game right there. Gardner Minshew has been one of the best backup quarterbacks in the league so far this season. He's got that team 3 straight wins. They've been playing some good football. Zach Moss is playing good at the running back position. Jonathan Taylor's back. That's huge for him. Houston, New Orleans, I think could be a good matchup too. CJ Stroud, unbelievable what he's doing right now with the Texans. Going up against a New Orleans team who has been playing some good football this year, but not great. The Vegas Raiders are going to be taking on New England, the dumpster fire that is the Patriots right now. Bill Belichick's on the hot seat. That's what I'm hearing. He's on the hot seat. I don't know how you fire Bill Belichick. I think you have to just let him walk out the door. You can't fire a guy like that. He has to just walk out the door. The Rams in Arizona. Then we have the Jets and Philly, Detroit and Tampa Bay, and New York and Buffalo. That Daniel Jones just can't catch a break. And the Cowboys and the Chargers. What matchup are you most looking forward to on Sunday there, or the Monday night matchup?
I got 2 games that I'm really looking at. I'm looking at New Orleans at Houston, and I'm looking at New England at Vegas. And let me tell you why. So far this year, now it's been tough with Derek Carr getting hurt, but the games that I've watched of New Orleans defense, they have a very good defense. And sometimes that gets strayed in a way that you think they're bad just because, like, if you can't play good complementary football, and by that I mean have your offense hold it for more than 2 minutes, because when Jameis Winston is in there and he goes 3 and out every other drive, that really does not help your defense. You know what do they say? Like, you play better defense when you play less defense, right? So if you're on the field the whole time, eventually you're going to get tired. And so sometimes I think people look at defenses in a weird way like that. But I'm looking, will CJ Stroud throw his first interception against the New Orleans Saints?
No.
You don't? I think if any team is going to pick him up, I think it's going to be New Orleans. New Orleans
so smart with football. He's just so, I mean, for a rookie quarterback, he's so poised. He doesn't try to do, you'd expect a rookie, we're trailing, I'm going to try and make a big throw. We watched Jordan Love there on that Monday night game against the Raiders. He tried to make the big throw to Christian Watson, got picked off. That's a 4th-year guy coming off the bench, sat behind Aaron Rodgers. This is a rookie coming out of college. You think that he would make that. He's going to make a mistake at some point. But you would think that when he's down, like they were against the Falcons, and he had to lead them down the field for that late score, the whole drive, he looked poised, he looked calm, he looked confident out there, like he's done it before. Like he's been in the NFL for 10 years, and he's done it before. And it just baffles me watching him and just seeing I didn't expect him to be as good as what he is. And I think he's exceeding expectations right now of what they expected out of him coming out of college. He was a good player at Ohio State. He wasn't anything terrible, but I did not expect this level of consistency out of him. I will agree. New Orleans defense very good. It's going to take a lot to really rattle him, you know?
Yeah, and I watched some. I don't remember what I was watching, but it was an interview of him, and you like from listening to that like 10-minute interview, you would have thought this dude was like a 10-year vet. Trajan, this dude is younger than we are,
Yeah,
and he was
that's
talking like a 10-year vet.
he is so calm. I mean, in press conferences, in post games, pre games, doesn't matter. He's like watching. I mean, he's not Tom Brady. He's not Tom Brady. Don't twist the words here with what I'm saying. But he's like you're watching Tom Brady out there, just so calm. It's like he just went down 28-3 against the Falcons and said, "It's not over yet. We're fine."
You know who he reminds me of? Jalen Hurts. Not
Yeah,
not in place, like not quite in place style, because I think Jalen Hurts is more of a dual threat quarterback than CJ is. But as soon as Jalen came into the league, he changed that organization. You watch literally any interview that he has, it's like this. There was someone that said like this dude is speaking in Instagram captions because every single like interview that he has, he'll drop a good one liner like, oh, that was, but like again, that like mature beyond his years that he's been in the NFL. The way he leads his team, the way how calm he is, but yet he demands a lot. Like in those ways, I like CJ Stroud to me reminds me a lot of Jalen Hurts.
I think what helps is having a good head coach in front. Somebody to prepare you. And I think D'Amico Ryans has done a very good job at Houston so far, getting this team ready. What I also think helps is when he came in, he's with the younger team. He's still got veterans on that team, but he's with a younger team. So it calms him. He doesn't have to try and be, if he had Devontae Adams out there, he's like, I got to get Devontae the ball. I have to be that dude. I have to make that throw, like Aaron Rodgers would have made to Devontae. I can't let him down here. I think it helps having subpar wide receivers. I mean, he's making some guys look pretty darn good. Nico Collins has looked good for the Texans. He's not an over-the-top receiver, but he's looked great. But I think that's what helps a little bit with him is that he's able to mesh with these guys because he came in maybe a little bit underestimated for what he could do, and so are these receivers. And he's like, okay, we're going to do it together. And that's what I think some of these other teams are lacking. Like, we talk a lot about the Packers. I think that's what the Packers are lacking right now. They don't mesh very well. They don't have that mesh. They aren't like, we know, you watch that last game against the Raiders trying to throw to Watson so many times when he was double covered. You were like, in my head, I was thinking Aaron Rodgers again. With CJ Stroud, he's like, I can trust this guy. I can trust this guy. I can trust this guy. I don't miss the short stuff. If my guy's covered deep down the field, he's just so good at reading defense. He can see, okay, I'm watching my safety drift down the field with that guy. He's going to be covered up here in a second. I'm going to dump it. I'm going to dump it to my short guy here and make it happen. You look at that late game drive against the Falcons. It was all short, methodical offense. He didn't try to rush it. He didn't try to make the big throw. He just made it happen. And I think that's what I love so much about watching CJ Stroud right now is, yeah, like you said, just like a 10-year vet in everything that he does.
Yeah, and as much as I want to keep talking about CJ Stroud, I'm going to move on to that other game I was looking at.
Sorry, I love watching this guy. I just had to just get it out there for you.
Yep. Hey, no problem with that. That next game I'm looking at is New England at Raiders. I actually like, as much as a dumpster fire that the Patriots are, I'd like them in this game. I think more or less it's going to be a home game for them because it seems like any team that goes in and plays Vegas has a home crowd there. I don't know why that is. I don't know if people in Vegas just show up late. But not that that's going to make a difference in the game, I don't think. But I do not see New England losing another game, especially the last two games that they had, 38-3 and 34-0. I I don't see them putting up any less than 10 points, that's for sure. And part of this too is like, hey, like how could they do any worse, right? When I was watching Packers and Raiders on Monday night, the Vegas Raiders did not win that game. The Packers lost that game. They should have won. For some reason, they forgot that Max Crosby plays for them. Didn't just decided like half the game, like we're not going to block him. We'll just let him right through and touch the guy before he even gets the ball. I don't I don't love Vegas's offense. Going up against the Packers. I think they average somewhere around 3.5 yards per rush. Which is kind of crazy because we Packers are basically on their second and third string linebackers because everyone's injured.
It was a pass. That game was a pass.
And I thought they should have done way better in their passing game, especially when we have Preston Smith lined up on Devontae Adams. Don't know why we're doing that.
Joel Berry's done it before. Justin Jefferson was covered up by Preston Smith. There's a picture floating around the internet of that coverage.
But I don't see Bill is too good of a coach. I don't see him losing another one. Like I said, Packers deserve to lose that game. Give all the credit to Las Vegas. They did enough to win. I think Vegas definitely gets Devontae more involved because even after the game, Devontae's like, we need me to get me the ball more. Like, and he's like, if you're only throwing it when I'm single covered, I'm only gonna have 22 catches on the year. And he's basically saying like they need to find ways to give him the ball. I think Devontae does a little bit better. I think New England's defense shows up in a big way, and I think Mac Jones actually plays decent. Part of that is, again, I don't really think they can do any worse with Bill being on what you said, the hot seat. I think it's going to serve as motivation for them. I know it's in Vegas. I don't know what the line or who's favored, but I like New England in this one.
I agree with that. The best thing for New England is I think they got to move on to Mac Jones. I think that experiment is over. He's just not proving it. He's not doing that over the top stuff. Or you got to go out and get him weapons galore because he hasn't proven anything so far at New England. Bill Belichick's on the hot seat because of his quarterback play right now. Bill Belichick he's a good coach. We know that. He has been a phenomenal coach through his career. Was he blessed with having a guy like Tom Brady on his team? Yeah, he was blessed. And you look at we talk about Packers, Matt LaFleur, he was blessed with having Aaron Rodgers. Now we're seeing the offense without Aaron Rodgers to make up for the difference, and it's struggling right now. We're seeing it struggle not having that leader in there at the offensive helm, and that's kind of where Bill Belichick's been ever since Brady left. Is he's kind of been in the middle. He doesn't have the over-the-top team. He's got an average team. We can still win ball games, but we don't have the consistent quarterback who can do it for us. So yeah, I like that one. I like the Patriots over the Raiders there. I think that could be a big win. Get Bill Belichick his behind a little cooled off there leading into that next game.
And I know I didn't pick a winner for that Saints and Texans game. And I'm not going to. That's one of the games I'm interested in. I think it's a pick'em game. I think you could go either way on that. I want to say Derek Carr is, because if Derek Carr is back, then it's definitely going to be a close game.
I think
because I think he played last week against the Patriots. But yeah, I don't know. I love the Texans. But man, I love that New Orleans defense. I mean, I got to watch them when they were playing the Packers, and besides a little bit in that fourth quarter, I believe his name is Alontae Taylor, and I believe he's a second-year player. And I swear to God, every time Jordan Love threw in his direction, like it was a pass deflection, knocked out of his hands. I mean, that guy was everywhere, and I think their secondary is really good. They have a pretty good defensive line. I think it's a flip of the coin who's going to win that game, but I think that's one that a lot of people aren't looking at, but should be a good game.
Texans have 3/4 of the team out on injured. Offensive line is injured up. Robert Woods is questionable. Tank Dell's questionable. Laramie Tunsil's questionable. Christian Harris is questionable. Juice Shrugged. I love that name. Center for me. He's on the injured reserve right now. He's been on the injured reserve since August 31st. We haven't seen him, so that's okay. But they're missing a lot of offensive linemen right now, is what I'm seeing with the Texans. So we will see how that fares. But we have to jump over and finish it up with the mess that is the MLB right now. The MLB playoff. Actually, last night, the Braves finished out the trifecta for us. So besides the Houston Astros sneaking through, the Astros made her. And thank the Lord somebody made her out of there. The Braves lost last night to the Phillies 3-1. So the Diamondbacks and Phillies will match up in that NLCS. The Astros and Rangers will have the ALCS. That'll actually, first pitch for that one is on Sunday. The ALCS will start Monday. Both will play. And then I do believe Tuesday will just be the NLCS. And then it'll straighten itself out. But the mess that is the MLB. The Orioles, favored going into the playoffs, swept out of there. The Brewers, for as terrible as their offense was, one of the best records in the MLB, swept out of there by the Diamondbacks. You look at the Braves going up against the Phillies. The Braves, the best team in baseball all season long. You couldn't even look at anybody else. You saw the Braves stats, runs allowed versus runs scored. You were like, who's going to beat them? Who can beat the Braves? Somebody in Vegas just lost a lot of money last night when the Braves lost at the Phillies. That's all I do. But you look at the playoff schedule now. Rangers were leading in the West, the AL West, for the longest time before the Astros took it over there at the end. The D-backs were up there with the Dodgers before the All-Star break. Then the Dodgers pulled away, and the D-backs went to Dodger Stadium, completely took care. I mean, if that was Clayton Kershaw's last game on the mound, that was the worst. I think it actually is the worst performance by a starting pitcher in MLB history. I think it was the most runs allowed before recording it out. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that is. So Clayton Kershaw, roughed up by the D-backs. The D-backs are rolling. It is historically proven whoever beats the Brewers in the playoffs goes to the World Series. It's been like this since 1981. Did I show that to you?
No. I don't think I believe that.
I didn't believe it at first either, but check this out, okay? 2021, the Brewers played the Braves in the playoffs. The Braves ended up winning the World Series. 2020, the Dodgers beat the Brewers. They won the World Series. 2019, the Nationals beat the Brewers, won the World Series. 2018, the Dodgers beat the Brewers. They made the World Series. They don't always win it, but they made it. The Dodgers made it to the World Series. 2011, the Cardinals beat the Brewers, won the World Series. 2008, the Phillies beat the Brewers, won the World Series. 1982, the Cardinals beat the Brewers, won the World Series. In 1981, the Yankees beat the Brewers, made it to the World Series. Whoever beats the Milwaukee Brewers in the playoffs goes to the World Series. And has a mathematically proven chance to win that thing.
Is that every playoff appearance?
That is every playoff appearance for the Brewers there. Right? I just gave you all of them.
That is a crazy stat. That's crazy.
Yeah. This is just showing that the Brewers, we suck.
Can we get a different matchup?
If we could win one of these, we'd go to the World Series. We would win the World Series, but we cannot win one of these matchups. So the D-backs, I'm picking the D-backs already to beat the Phillies and go to the World Series. The other series, the Rangers and Astros. Astros are the dogs. They're the only top seed to make it out of the first round. I'm sticking with the Astros there. But huge series matchups there. Did you expect this kind of playoff here with the Orioles, the Brewers, the Dodgers, the Braves, the Rays, even a team like the Rays being knocked out in the wild card round? Did you expect a playoff scenario like this where we'd end up with the Rangers, the Astros? That's not as bad. But the NL side with the Phillies and the D-backs, did you expect this playoff scenario in any way, shape, or form?
Well, I guess to start with the AL, obviously I'm not surprised by the Astros because for the past 5-6 years, like the AL runs through the Astros.
Yeah,
Like
they didn't have to cheat to win. They just did. It's like they did it for fun, and now they just win without.
exactly. And again, for the most part, every team in baseball cheats. Like that's just part of the game. And they just happened to do a really elaborate form and they got caught. So, I mean, that's the only reason they get so much crap for it. As far as the Rangers, I wouldn't say I'm surprised. Just because of how many runs that offense can put up. Now, I will say that if you would have told me that they wouldn't have had DeGrom or Max Scherzer and they're still where they are, I probably wouldn't have believed you. I mean, just think like maybe how much even better they would be if they had those two in their rotation. And they're doing all of this without them. But again, that's why I think I'm favoring the Astros because A, it runs through them. You're gonna until proven otherwise. I'm going with the Astros. But again, with that, I think the Astros starting pitching is better. I know the Rangers can put up runs, but I think now this is a very, very much a pressure situation. The Astros have been here, done that. They've been in these situations before. The Rangers, I don't know I know the last time they made the World Series was 2013, I believe.
Oh yeah, it's been a couple. Not as long as the Brewers, but
but I think in that sense, I think the Rangers can put up runs. I just think that the Astros lineup is too experienced. They have a lot of big time hitters that come up with a lot of big time hits.
the Rangers have had in the World Series, 2010 and 2011.
Okay, so that's one.
22.
So I'm picking the Astros in that series. I honestly, it's hard to pick against the Diamondbacks.
So hot. I don't know if
Definitely the hottest team.
If a couple days off here is going to cool them back off because they've been playing nonstop here like it's still the regular season. But holy cats, 4 home runs in an inning. I mean, just clobbering the baseball. It's like these rookies don't feel pressure. They don't know. Somebody has to call the Diamondbacks and remind them that they're in the playoffs right now and they're supposed to be pressured.
They don't know what they don't know.
No, they don't even feel it. They don't feel it. You watch these guys come to the plate in big situations, and it's like just a normal at bat for these guys. It's honestly baffling to me watching them. Even watching them against the Brewers, there was some big situations they came up in late in games where it was only 4-3, situations like that, and they come up with big hits. They just in those situations, you see Clayton Kershaw out there on the mound, game 1, as Corbin Carroll leading off. You thought you would feel something. He went up there and delivered. That's just what he did. I mean, it's just baffling to me watching this Diamondbacks team, how advanced they are as in the league right now.
And even you mentioned the 4 home runs in the 1 inning, which I believe is a postseason record. And for those of you that didn't see the game last night, I can't remember who it was. It would have been the 4th home run. Hits it down the right field line. Initially, they called it a home run. They reviewed it, figured out it was foul. What does the guy do then very next pitch? Sends it to deep left center for a home run. I mean, you can't make this stuff up.
Was it Christian Walker's?
No,
Moreno?
it was not.
Was it Moreno's?
Yeah, I think it could have been Moreno.
Because Ketel Marte hit one of them, Walker hit the other, and then Moreno, can't remember who hit the other.
But I mean, that's just like that's like everything is just fallen right in place for them. I mean, I'm not saying that like the baseball gods are on their side or anything like that, but they're a hot team. They just seem to be doing everything right.
It really seems like they are right now. I mean, they've had some guy. I mean, Evan Longoria is playing like he's 25 years old again. I mean, this team is firing on all cylinders every single game. And I mentioned the having a couple days off might bring them back down to earth because we look at the discussion that's going on right now around social media, even on some of the bigger sporting networks, and that's the playoff format. And we were talking about it, and I chalked it up to a lot of higher seed fans pissed off because their team just lost. They had to take a week off, basically, and then go play again. Is it, to me, I would go back to the 2020 playoff scenario. 8 teams got into the playoffs. Every team played a wild card series. So the 1 would play the 8, 2 would play the 7, all the way through. Nobody gets a day off. Nobody can complain then. If you're the top seed and you lose in that wild card game, that's tough. We thought you were better than that. You lost. See you later. Now you see like the Braves lose. You're going to watch the fans say, wow, we sat for how many days? 5 days, 6 days. We didn't have anything going on. We had all the time in the world to set up our pitching rotation. Everybody was ready to rock. We had time to rest up our guys, but we weren't facing the live pitching. So what do you think? What would you do playoff scenario? I would personally go 8 teams. Everybody gets a game, wild card. I would still make it best of 3. I would still make these teams play best of 3 in the first round. And then you just jump right in the NLDS. You play like this playoff format is now with the schedule-wise, but you don't give that rest period in between for these teams. So everybody's on a level playing field rolling through it all.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that like format wise for like seeds and stuff that it's this year, I don't mind the format, but I think that they shouldn't because I was talking to you earlier today saying these are professional players, even if you take a week off, that shouldn't really matter, right? But the more I thought about it, it's like, well, when during the season do they ever have a week off? All-Star break. That's it. These guys are in such a rhythm and a groove, playing every day, every other day, that now all of a sudden you get to let's say your team finally got hot right near the end, and all of a sudden you have to sit down for a week. I can understand why some of the fan bases were up in arms about that, because it's especially with the Orioles, right? They were such a promising team, and then could do nothing. They looked like a completely different team as soon as that series started. I agree somewhat with you where, my idea, right? Keep the format the same. Don't give them a week off. Now, I don't know what you have to change with that. I don't have it in front of me right now. But again, if you're good enough, you're gonna if you're good enough, you're gonna be good enough no matter how much time you have off. But it is crazy. I sent you something today. I don't know if you're able to pull it up. But it was saying that all the favorite or top seeds got I don't know if they won one game out of them or got swept, but it is, I don't know if you can find that at all.
Looking for it. Yep, found it right here. Out of the 5 best records in the MLB regular season, they were 1-13 because the Braves did lose that last game of that division series. So they were 1-13 in those games. That's nuts.
Now, I don't think you'd have to really look into the archives and postseason and in the past, but I don't remember the last time that has ever happened.
No, this is like watching March Madness college basketball, top seeds all falling on the same day. Bracket busted. Nobody knows what to do. That's exactly what we're watching here.
And now you're looking at it okay, this is the top seeds going 1-13. That's never happened. And then you put into effect that this is also the first year they're doing this format. So it's is it a coincidence or is it because of that? I mean, that's up for you to decide.
You pitch, you listen to guys talk about even in season. You give bullpen guys too many days off, it messes with their mechanics. You give them not enough days off, it messes with their mechanics. I mean, it's up in the air. It really is. But I believe that putting it on an even playing field, 1-8, everybody plays wild card games. I think that's the way you go. There cannot be complaining after that. You don't need a bye. If you're the best team out there, you should be able to sweep through the wild card series. Hold on. Because you're going to need starters from the division series. So you're going to have to burn that third starter at some point. So
if you're so worried about playing a wild card team, then you should be more worried about the whole playoffs. If you're that top
seed. Exactly. I mean, teams should have worried about the Diamondbacks and Phillies a little bit more, but that's for another day. That's for another day right there. So We got one more thing. The Bucks did announce Damian Lillard, Middleton, and Giannis will all be playing against the Lakers. So big news there, seeing those three, the big three, up against the Lakers. Finally seeing Dame and Giannis, we can count Middleton in there, all out on the court there at the same time. It's exciting times for the Bucks right now. They're in Milwaukee.
Yeah, and the only thing that I'll kind of add to that is obviously, like, I'm so excited for this season to start. I'm obviously a huge Bucks fan and huge into basketball. I'll be watching probably almost every one of their games. If not watching, I'll watch condensed highlights. But something that I saw Dame say the other day in a press conference after practice, he was talking about doing like pick and roll with Giannis. And he was saying when he was in Portland, they would just play him a certain way. Either they would like force him to get the ball out of his hands and force someone else to make a play. And that's what mostly the coverage he got on pick and roll. And he was saying like today with Giannis, he was like, I don't know if it's going to be like this in games or if it's just because it's practice. But he's like, I've never had so many options to do with one guy, let alone, Middleton, Bobby Portis, Brook Lopez, all those guys, plus more. But he's like, now I don't have to necessarily force it out of my hands. I have a lob. I can drive if I want to. I can kick out because I know I have shooters. And it's really, really crazy to think about him talking about all of this because he's so excited and how well he can do. Because he was already doing this well on a team like Portland. So now you put him in an even better scenario. It's scary for other teams, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, I agree. It's like it's so late in his career. He's getting towards old age, and it's like a kid in the candy shop. Like he just got, like he's a rookie coming into the league, and he's like, oh my gosh, look at these guys. Like these are the guys I get to play with them. Are you sure, Mom? Like that's what he's like saying with these press conferences. Like he's baffled. This is what an actual basketball team looks like, not the crap I was going through up there in Portland. I'm getting real guys put around me now. So yeah, it is really exciting time for the Milwaukee Bucks. We still got the Badgers hopefuls. We're still hoping on the Badgers. Badger basketball coming up here pretty soon. Wisconsin is buzzing. Even though the Brewers early exit in the playoffs, we're done talking about that for a little while. We still have a lot of exciting sports coming up. And also just wanted to give a shout out for tonight. The CSFL will be on ESPN Plus tonight. There will be a matchup with Army West Point against Cornell. So anybody who listened to the podcast yesterday caught with Trayton Thomas playing for Army West Point. If you have time, check it out on ESPN Plus. If you have it, check it out. It's on YouTube too. You just got to search up Army West Point Sprint League football. You'll find it somehow. It's live streamed on there. Check it out. It sounds like a cool league. 7 o'clock kickoff for that one at Cornell. So should be a good matchup there in the CSFL. But with that, that is about all we got for Wisconsin sports. Hopefully you guys are checking out the Badgers. If you're not heading down to Camp Randall, if the weather's not supposed to be nice, if you're a diehard, get down there. But otherwise, kick back on your couch, crack open a cold one, and watch it along with us because that's where we're going to be on Saturday. Bucks have a game on Sunday. I think it's on Sunday there. And then Packers on the bye week this week, so we don't have to worry about watching that one more weekend. Hopefully after the bye week, they will come out hot and heavy. But for this week, this has been Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trades. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you, Cole, for being on for Eyes on the Inside here today on the podcast. We will catch you guys later. Deuces.